So welcome everybody to our Vienna Open Day of the CEU Executive MBA. I'm Thomas Lamel, the Senior Program Manager, and I will guide you through this evening. If you have any questions, please feel free to just ask me here on site or use the chat box in the Zoom chat. We will collect the questions for the Q&A session at the end of the session. The whole evening will consist of my program presentation of the CEU Executive MBA, followed by a meet and greet with a current participant and a alumna. And afterwards, we will have a keynote presentation by Professor Aisuzenius about emotional marketing. And in the end, we'll have the Q&A session for any other questions about the program that you might have, etc. And here on site, we'll finalize this, we'll finish this evening, round it off with some catering, having drinks and snacks in the foyer. So if you're, thanks for joining everybody. You don't have to go very far these days to encounter that we are witnessing very fundamental transformation in a world in a century. In 2008, we've had a big financial crisis. In 2015, we've experienced a big refugee crisis. And even now we're experiencing the biggest pandemic in over a century. So this leads me to the question, all this transformation, is an MBA still worth it? Because these changes that we're witnessing are part of a much broader set of transformation that is taking place right now. Some of them are positive, and some of them are pretty dangerous, to be honest. So the key question for you as business professionals is to prepare for this challenging and unpredictable environment is an MBA the way to face these challenges? And we've seen an explosion of online education in the last year or last 18 months. And I will show why we believe that an executive MBA is still worth it. So if you're interested in further education, you usually start searching for an MBA program in the city you live in. What you tend to find is mostly a pretty plain vanilla standard MBA curriculum, without a mission, without any perspective, without any philosophy behind it. It's just a plain vanilla MBA curriculum. The faculty that is teaching at those MBA programs, at those local MBA programs, is mostly local. It's not an international or very low international faculty. And the number of international students is relatively low at those local MBA programs. Some programs in Western Europe or in the States or in the United Kingdom can be pretty expensive, up to 80 or 100,000 euro, up to tuition plus expenses like traveling and accommodation. But a local program allows you not to leave your job. That's a good thing about it. If you compare it to the leading business schools in the world, in the US, in the United Kingdom, you often have a very differentiated MBA curriculum. They offer a certain expertise, a certain perspective, a certain mission. Because of their full-time format, they are able to offer an international student body. You're leaving the labor market for 1 or sometimes even 2 years, which is an additional financial burden for you. These programs are rather expensive, as you can, if you can compare it to other programs in Western Europe or the US or in the UK, they are about 120,000 euro or even more for the tuition and expenses. And you may have to relocate your family as well to the new MBA location because you don't want to leave your family behind for 1 year or 2 years. So what we do at CEU is to offer the best of 2 worlds. There is no work interruption thanks to our flexible and modular format. I will talk about the modular format and the curriculum later. The executive MBA for the open world, as it's called at CEU, is very much mission-driven. We have a philosophy, we have a mission, and we will talk about it later in this session. We have a very international student body because of the modularity of the program. According to the Times Higher Education, we are the second most international university in the world. And I think this is an asset that you will make use of when you're in the program as far as networking and fun is concerned. Participants can fly in, can fly out, which is a major advantage of this modular format. I already mentioned our world-renowned faculty, our international faculty. So I would like to introduce some of our faculty members to you. The course on big data, for example, the big data and artificial intelligence course will be taught by Miklos Koren, one of the leading scholars in the field of artificial intelligence and data with a Harvard PhD. If you're new to finance, Joy is a uniquely gifted educator. Generation after generation of our students tell us how she's just unique in explaining very complex financial concepts to our participants. For strategy, you'll have Professor Yusuf Akbar, who has taught in more than 40 countries and advises leading Fortune 500 companies. For economics, Professor Mark Kaufmann, an expert in applied theory and with a PhD from Harvard. For leadership, Austin, a world-class psychologist with executive education experience on 4 continents. He will lead the way. Sophia Baranier, with a PhD from LSE University in the UK. She's an expert on automation, AI, robotics, and the future of work in general. She will teach you about those new dynamics in our CEU Executive MBA. Professor Maciej Kiszlowski, who will be part of this open day later on, our faculty director, with a JSD degree from Yale, an MBA from INSEAD, and a distinguished professor in his field. If you're already experienced in finance, you will be taught by Adam Zawodowski, an expert in leading expert in complex investments with a PhD from Princeton. And finally, one of our professors with a Jean Monnet chair in EU Energy Innovation Studies, Mike Labelle. He will teach innovation. Some of our visiting faculty members from the best universities in the world. All of our faculty members, all of our professors come from the best universities in the world. For example, some from Ivy League universities like Professor Christian Selos, teaching innovation from Stanford University, Professor Miklos Savary from Columbia University, Professor Omar Hernandez, teaching operations management from Berkeley, Professor Hui Chen, another finance and accounting professor from the University of Zurich, and Dr. Milena Nikolova, who's a chief behavior officer at Behavior Smart. Just to give you a brief overview of an example of our visiting faculty. So here's what the program structure looks like. As you can see from this chart, it's a 10-module program. And the dates that you see are not going to change. So you can basically plan your studying around professional and family activities based on these dates. As you can see, we have 3 modules in the first year in 2022, 4 modules in the second year in 2023, and 3 final modules in the last year, 2024. We are piggybacking around popular European holidays like November 1st, May 1st, August 15th, when business is usually slower, which makes it easier for you to juggle your work life, your private life, and your study. And it's easier for you to take time off your job. In the summers, in the center of the slide, you can see 3 modules taking place in Budapest. It's our bespoke and cutting-edge leadership program that's going to take place in Budapest. And you'll have the opportunity to take elective courses and benefit from the faculty that we fly in from around the world just for you. So one day, there will come the day when you graduate with us, when you get our US and EU fully accredited degree, and you will become part of a larger family, part of a community, part of our elite network of more than 18,000 alumni all over the world. As I already said, CEU is the second most international university according to the student body, but of course that also translates to the alumni body. And this is a network that you can relate on, that you can count on, and that you can rely on. We have city-level chapters, country-level chapters. Basically, wherever you are in the world, you'll find CEU alumni. And thanks to our American approach of alumni network, it's very easy to reach out to our alumni network through Facebook, through LinkedIn, or through our alumni department. We're very happy to establish contact if you need them. And the alumni network is one of the most important assets that we have at CEU. So the question some people have is, how are we even able to offer such a high quality program at such low cost, at only 29,000 euro? And the answer lies in our benefactor and founder, George Soros, who created CEU with the mission to promote open society. I will talk about open society a little bit later. But just to give you an example, he just recently, this year, made a further contribution to CEU by offering another $1 billion with a B endowment to create the Open Society University Network, which means we are the best endowed university in Europe. So what does the executive MBA for the open world mean? First of all, it's something that makes us unique compared to other MBA programs because we have a mission. But what does this mission mean? First of all, when we talk about the open world, we mean skepticism towards dogmas, skepticism towards hierarchies and privileges. Diversity is key to creating a successful program, and diversity is shown in the composition of the cohort and in the composition of our faculty. Secondly, we believe in debate and radical, rational thinking. Every idea can be challenged. We believe in facts and arguments rather than narratives, fake news, and resentments. Narratives create the polarization that we suffer from right now in the world. But we believe the best way to challenge this narrative-based discourse that is taking place right now is to make arguments based on facts and realities, which is basically the hallmark of Karl Popper's a definition of open societies. We're fundamentally opposed to any kind of discrimination, and we actively promote diversity within our program through fellowships, through scholarships. The way we finance the scholarship means we create opportunities for people who have traditionally not been able to join such a program. Minorities, marginalized groups, etc. And one part of the philosophy translates to our thinking that we don't consider students just as participants, but we consider our participants as positive change agents. Whatever their background is, whatever their profession is, if they're coming from arts and culture, if they're coming from the corporate field, if they're entrepreneurs or medical doctors, or coming from the public sector or NGOs, everybody can contribute to making this world a better place, whatever their position is. So what does the typical CEU executive MBA classroom looks like? This is actually a real picture from one of our classrooms. It shows 65 managers with 14 years of average work experience, including a minimum of 3 years of leadership experience. As you can see from the image here, from the background, we use state-of-the-art classroom technology. The people here on site can actually experience it already, and setups in order to facilitate discussion and lively interaction. We make use of case-based learning rather than traditional lectures that you would find in local MBA programs. And we want to take you, experts in your very field, from this level of functional expertise to the strategic level. We also offer top quality in our online experience. Every participant can choose to join online, thanks to our hybrid format. We offer studio-grade microphones capturing the lecturer, not only the lecturer, but also your participants, your fellows, because interaction, learning, the learning experience is not a one-way street from the lecturer to the participant, but also from the participant to the lecturer and among participants. We invested in large screens and high-quality cameras to offer the best audiovisual learning experience to you. We created physical virtual breakout rooms for support teams. Support teams are an essential part of our team working when you're in the module, and you will be in very diverse support teams in order to expose you to diversity and different perspectives. As you can see from this slide, we use personalized virtual backgrounds. You can actually see, not only just see your fellows, you can see the names, because if there's a discussion going on, it might be difficult to, relocate, like who's saying what and who said what. You can see the colors, which indicate the support teams, like who's your team member, who's in a different team. It's easier for you to follow and engage in interaction and debate. And of course, we offer high quality individual support in every context, academically, logistically, administratively. We are here for you to help you. So tuition is only 29,000 euro because of our financial endowment. We are passing on this financial advantage to our participants, which makes it a more competitive tuition compared to other programs. And it includes all the credits of the Executive MBA. Online, there's an online option because I already said it's a hybrid format. You can participate online if travel is inconvenient for you. We offer accommodation discounts with partner hotels in Budapest and Vienna, and have discounted discount rates with airlines like Austrian Airlines and Lufthansa Group, which will bring you to Vienna or Budapest at a discounted rate and defray your other costs of traveling. So we invite you to join the open world. The final application deadline is March 27th, which sounds very far away in the future, but we have a first come, first served policy on applications, and I strongly encourage everybody to apply as soon as possible, not only because of the early bird discount that is applicable at the moment, but also because of the first come, first served policy. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you will be able to secure your study seat. The application starts on our website, and I'm here for you if you have any questions, and you can email me anytime you want to get in touch with me through a one-on-one consultation, which you can book through our website as well. So I think it's one thing to hear about the program from us, from the program office, who are very much committed to this program and very much convinced of the program. But I think it's another thing to hear about the program from people who are doing the program already or have done Executive MBA at CEU already. So I would like to introduce Jan Horvath and Laurent Zambori to the Open Day. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us tonight. I would like to start with Jan. If you could just briefly introduce yourself and tell us briefly why you chose CEU Executive MBA when you applied back then.
Thank you, Thomas. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jan Horvath. I am the MBA 23 candidate. I have to say that last year I was a participant at this meeting. I wanted to know what is CEU about, and I have to say that it is really as good and even better as was mentioned today. And I hope you're gonna enjoy this evening. I have to say that I'm very happy to be a member of CEU University, and I'm after my first module, and I would like to share some experience. We have very good teachers. They support us to learn, and they wants to give us a lot of knowledge, a lot of insights. We have a lot of discussion, and also the lessons are very funny. We usually laugh a lot, and we can interrupt them with the questions, and they are very happy to answer them. And also we have very good classmates, which are from all around the world. I think at least from 20 countries or even more, maybe to 30. And we are very good. A class, we cooperate together, we share all the information or the materials. And this is from beginning from my side. And why I decided to join CEU. I was looking for some option to continue develop myself. I wanted to study in English language, and I wanted it to be close to the city where I'm based. I'm based in Bratislava, and Vienna and Budapest is relatively close cities. And I think very good advantage is that it's dual diploma, US and Austrian, and it was very solid step.
It's funny that I'm talking to one of our participants who lives the closest to our campus, basically, because we also have people flying in from as far away as Vancouver or Vladivostok, South Africa and India, and we have even 2 Australians in the program who are commuting to the program already. You just mentioned diversity, if I may add it, because I know the numbers, of course. We have people joining this executive MBA coming from 5 continents, despite of the Corona crisis, which I'm really honored to welcome here on campus, because it shows like the trust people have, even though, even despite of a pandemic, they put so much trust in our program and are willing to travel under these circumstances and join this program. If you could just, I'm not sure if you introduced yourself, like what is your professional background, Jan?
My professional background is related to finance. I am a supervision inspector at National Bank of Slovakia. And this is a good point because many of classmates are from different industries. We have classmates from media, we have from building, from shipbuilding, construction. I remember also a lot of banking, entrepreneurship, media, and so on. So telecommunications, so wide range of industries, and that makes discussion even better. Because if I have classmates only from finance, I think it would be a very similar debate.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. We offer diversity not just with regard to nationalities and different cultures. I mean, that's something we could easily do, but we offer diversity when it comes to gender identities as well. We offer diversity with regard to the age gap. We have people at their early 30s to the late 50s in the program. We offer diversity when it comes to professional backgrounds. We have artists and culture managers in the current cohort, but also corporate people coming from the finance, with finance background, people coming from pharma, entrepreneurs from the public sector, but also from NGOs and the human rights activism, because CEU is an advocate for human rights, freedom of speech, freedom of academia. If you know our history, freedom of academia is, I mean, one of the reasons that led us to Vienna in the end. And we offer that variety in every context in our class, because this is where where the learning kicks in, where the learning starts. If you're exposed to different ideas, different perspectives, you have to somehow, deal with those perspectives. You have to think about them. And this is where learning kicks in. If you're in a class with people, like-minded people of the same industry, of the same language, of the same culture, you're basically exchanging stories everybody knows already. But if you're exchanging stories with a human rights activist from South Africa, or a disabled manager from India, or with an entrepreneur in Italy, it's a completely new mindset that you will be engaging with. Jan, you just started the executive MBA with this year, right? And can you tell us a little bit more about what you expect from CEU? Like, why did you do it and what you're expecting from it?
Yes, I expect that I will meet people from business. I will improve my knowledge and also language abilities. And this is all in a nutshell, I would say.
Well, great. I mean, I'm sure we will meet your expectations. I mean, that's not a problem for us. It's up to you how much you will, take on of our, accept from what we offer, from our faculty, from the participants that you are engaging with, and the social events that we have, and the alumni network. Thank you very much, Jan, for engaging with us. I would like to move on to Laurent, who's an alumni of CEU MBA. Laurent, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you very much. I know you're busy, but if you could briefly introduce yourself and tell us about your background and why you chose CEU back then, and just tell us about yourself and your story.
Happy to do so. Hi, Thomas. Thank you for the invite. Sorry that I could not be in Vienna. Would have been nice to see also the campus there. But I hope Zoom is enough these days. So
perfect for us.
Just a few words about my background. I studied computer science in Romania, and this is what my main occupation was. I started as a software developer when I started to take on management responsibilities. So I was looking to do an executive MBA just to professionalize my skills in the direction of management. I chose CEU not just because it was close, but it had very good recommendations from other alumni, people from my network who recommended that I should try that out, especially looking at the field I'm in. So being in an IT and digital field, I said CEU is forward-looking program. I should go there. I will get not just the basics of an MBA, but also forward-looking programs like advanced analytics, strong innovation topics, and so on. So I did it, and actually it was quite a ride. From the typical software developer who had some management responsibilities. During my MBA, I started to develop a passion for the management side of things. And as a result, when I finished my MBA, I was invited to Vienna, to Munich, to join the management board of the company I was working on. After that, I got an offer from Boston Consulting Group as a digital strategy management consultant, which I was happy to take. And I must say this change in my career was very much influenced by my MBA at CEU. Currently, I started my own company, so I'm back to doing also some technical stuff, but also having the management perspective. I'm still doing digital strategy, and every day I'm reminded of the things, the lessons at CEU, which are coming very useful now in this entrepreneur status I'm in.
I do have the impression that the CEU MBA degree already paid off in your career development.
Well, I would not disclose it through internet. I'm not sure who is listening.
Well, I mean, you mentioned already that the modules that you learned lots of strategy, lots of management skills here, and this is one of our emphasis here. 3 of the 10 modules, the Budapest modules that I've already shown, are about leadership. So we emphasize on leadership because it's the thing that elevates you from your level of operational expertise to the strategic level. That's basically what most participants lack, is not the functional expertise, but the strategic expertise, the leadership skills. That's why we emphasize on the leadership modules so much. Laurent, if you could just tell us briefly about the alumni network, if you're involved in the alumni network. I've already said it's basically an international global elite network of 18,000 people. But if you want to add something to it, feel free to.
I'm happy to add to it. So as I told you, I was coming to get this knowledge to professionalize my let's see, my skills, but I got much more than I paid for. And this much more is really the network. So first it started with the colleagues we had in class. And I won't repeat what you said, but really the diversity, not just cultural diversity, but also professional experience, that was a great help in discussing the topics. So even, let's say, boring topics like management, accounting, and similar stuff, when you have people from various organizations which differ in size and the industry they work on, you discover that the same topic, which is boring if you look at it from a theoretical perspective, has very interesting insights, and you have a lot of learning potential from your colleagues. And these relationships and going through this program together, actually they are lasting. Surprisingly, we are still in contact. So from the colleagues from the 2017 class, 2018, we had several activities we did together. We had this mixed homeworks, this mixed assignments, and this created some very strong bonds. And not just that, but also what CEU is bringing is it's expanding this network. So this very professional CEU alumni offering, where you're really put in contact with CEU students, with professors, and you really can reach out and get in touch with various people.
I mean, I would like to add the personal anecdote. That's how we got to know each other in the first place. Like, I reached out to alumni that I found on LinkedIn, and one of them was Laurent. I didn't know him back then before, and I just reached out to him, and we went to Munich for a career fair, and I just asked him if he was willing to meet for a dinner, and Laurent just joined us, and that's how easy approachable this network is. You can just reach out through Facebook, through LinkedIn, or through structured networking with the Alumni Relations Department, which we also offer structured networking events. So it's very easy and approachable. You already mentioned the alumni course offering. I think that's a good point. I mean, it's a very special point, but it should be added here, should be mentioned here, that once you graduated from CEU, you're always welcome to take one of our alumni course offerings, the summer course offerings, in order to always keep up to date, to have a course in the summer, while the other cohorts, the new cohorts will participate in the summer modules. You can participate in electives, and you can stay part of that family. You can stay reconnected by picking single specific electives on green energy, on finance, on whatever the topic is, big data. You can stay current, plus you can still network with CEU and new cohorts. Thank you, Laurent. I would like to thank you for your willingness to support us tonight. I would like to move on to the academic part of the evening, to our keynote presentation with Professor Aisu Senius. She will talk about emotional marketing and what it is. Aisu, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the MBA for inviting me to give a speech for tonight. And thank you for the online participants and the participants on site for coming here to listen to my presentation. My name is Aisu, and I'm an assistant professor of marketing, and I'm teaching at the Executive MBA program, as well as I'm teaching some other course at CEU at the doctorate and graduate level. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'd like to talk about emotional advertising, just to give you an idea on how the, so in the classes, we have the practical discussions a lot, but at the same time, we have the academic behind it. So today I choose a topic that is very relevant to all consumers, but at the same time, it gives you an idea on how to do research and how to base your findings from previous research, which is something that we talk in our executive MBA courses. And the topic that I choose was about when emotional advertising works or when it fails. Let's start with the definition of emotional advertising. Emotional advertising is basically any type of ad that you watch. It can be online, it can be on TV, mass, whatever it is, that makes you feel something. The moment that you feel something as you watch the ad, we could call it as emotional advertising. And you can easily think of that nowadays, any ad that we see would be part of emotional, right? If you think about the campaigns that are very much done by Coke, it's about like choosing happiness, smiley faces, people being happy, drinking a Coke. That would be a perfect example of emotional advertising. Sometimes companies try to choose different emotions, such as they may want to make people more courageous, proud by using different campaigns. For example, the Always, what does it mean to do things like a girl was a very powerful campaign that included a lot of emotions. And sometimes they may try to use some negative emotions. In that case, it would be about how disturbance or fearful people would feel make them basically buy a product more. The reason why we see so many emotional ads is because they're effective, right? As consumers, we are not rational. Majority of the time we think, but we also feel. So whatever decision that we have combines both our emotions, our feelings and thoughts at the same time. So in the current research paper that we're working on, we are looking at a specific product category, which is called limitation products. And we're trying to understand how emotions are used in promoting these products and how it can be effective. By limitation product, what I mean is basically any product that you would see which is labeled as limitation. A pair of sneakers can be limitation, bottle of wine, champagne can be limitation, even a piano can be proposed as a limited edition, so it's only produced at a specific amount, not everyone can get it. Majority of the time, FMCG companies use lots of limited edition version of their current or original products with some diversity. Why we see limited edition products in the supermarkets in our lives is basically they're effective. There's a big literature that talks about how limited edition products are effective because the moment something is scarce, which means that it's not fully available to everyone, as humans, we want to own that product. We all have the need to be different from others. As a result, whenever we see something that is only available for a specific period of time or in specific numbers, we want to have it. We have more purchase intention for the products. We are more likely to talk about our limited edition products, which eventually helps with company profits. So overall, limited edition products are promoted by the managers, and as you can imagine, lots of emotions are used in promoting these products, but there's a specific emotion, it's called feeling of awe, that makes people feel inspired, and they're used to call people to action. Let me just give you a definition of awe before I mention the relationship between limited edition and awe. For a second, if you imagine yourself to be in the picture, looking at Mount Fuji, over it, there's Milky Way, you may feel that there is an immense beauty out there that causes some wonder and amazement at the same time. And it's in the presence of something unusual and difficult to understand. If you were to be in this picture, you would feel that how beautiful it is, how big of a universe that is out there, and you would actually feel part of it. Majority of the time, natural beauty is a big elixir of awe, but at the same time, artwork, anything aesthetic beauty can also can cause a feeling of awe. Similarly, music, classical music, epic music are also great elixirs of awe. And finally, even sometimes people can make you feel awe. If you think about the great leaders out there in the world, living or past, if you think about individuals who display great virtue, people easily feel inspired and basically feel awe. What's the relationship between awe and limited edition products is that actually limited edition products are very frequently promoted with the feelings of awe. Just to give you an example, whenever Coke comes with these limited edition Olympic cans, what they do is that they promote these cans or their products using the success stories of the athletes, the Olympic athletes, how inspiring they are to people, so on and so forth. At the same time, luxury companies frequently, when they come up with a limited edition version of their product, they engage in with celebrities, they use the beauty aesthetics to create this inspiring feeling. And also movies, whenever there's a movie release upcoming, they usually couple with brands to create this movie scene within a specific product and call it limited edition, basically. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but just a simple example, when Frozen 2 was coming to the theaters, Glade coupled up with the movie and created this special coming home fragrances, which was labeled as limited edition. And it was very much promoted with the scenes from the movie. So you can imagine how epic it was to basically watch the ad. So managers are using it a lot. It seems that it's working, but actually what we're proposing and demonstrating is that when limited edition products are promoted with the feelings of awe, it may actually hurt the brands. And our reasoning for that is limited edition products promotes exclusivity, being different from others, being the only one out there that owns the product or one of the very limited people so that you are different. But what feeling of awe makes is basically focus on others. The moment that you feel awe, you feel connected to your environment, you feel connected to nature, you start thinking less about yourself and more about others in general. As you can imagine, this exclusivity and focus on others are actually creates an incongruence in our minds. And as humans, we're not, as I mentioned, not rational. Whenever there's an incongruence, we usually have a decreased experience of connection to our surroundings, to people in general, which we propose it will actually decrease the product preferences. So although companies are frequently using awe to promote limited edition products, we're actually proposing that it may actually hurt the brand. So just a conceptual framework, we propose that feelings of awe will decrease preferences towards limited edition products, and the reason behind it will be what we call as experience of connection. I'm not going to get into too much details of the framework, but I would like to talk about the studies that we had, because this was our idea, we proposed it, now we have to demonstrate it in order to basically say that what we think actually happens in real life. We did a couple of studies. I want to go over them very briefly. But for the first one, we used publicly available data. We said, let's find some real advertisements and let's look at how awe-inspiring they are, and let's look at the engagement ratings. So we used publicly available data from iSpot.tv. It is basically the largest catalog of advertisements online out there. Feel free to check it out. It's very amazing. What we did was that we wanted to find this publicly available data, and we searched for limited edition products that were available in iSpot.tv. As a result, we found around 140 ads in total, and we coded each of these advertisements on the field, on the awe perception. We had 2 people coding it for us. We asked them, please watch this advertisement, and after you watch it, please rate how much awe you felt as you watched the ad. And as our dependent variable, we analyzed consumer engagement scores, which was defined by iSpot.tv as the volume of digital activity across video, social, and search triggered by the ad campaign divided by the estimated TV spend and compared to all other campaigns. What this definition means is that basically the more the engagement rating is, the consumer engagement score is, the better the ad performed. So we wanted to find a relationship between this awe perception and consumer engagement rating. Also, of course, we had to have some control variables in order to make sure that the results are only affected by awe perception and not any other variable, which is what we try to do whenever we use an empirical data set. Just to give you an idea, a glimpse of how the data looks, as you can see, we have different advertiser categories. On the very right side, you see the sample screenshot. I mean, these are just a screenshot, but it can give you an idea. The more that the epic the ad looked, the more natural BT or awe perception had, it basically had a higher awe perception rating. So around 50% of the ads included some component of awe, but there were some ads, like you would see on the bottom right, that they did not have any awe perception, which received a lower rating by our coders. When we look at the results, it's a big complicated table, but you can only look at the very first row, which says that awe perception, and if you look at it, it's significant, and we see that it has this negative sign, which suggests that after controlling for all these variables, the higher that the advertisement was perceived to have awe, the lower consumer engagement scores it had after controlling for all these variables, which suggests that there's actual demonstration out there in the data that the more inspiring, the more awe-filling the product, the advertisement has for a limited edition product, it actually hurts the consumer engagement scores. But this is what we've seen using an empirical data set and research. We try to manipulate things and change it the way that they do not differ at all, and still we can see the results using the experiment. So in the upcoming studies, we used student population, MTech population, and basically created different ads, manipulated the emotions, and tried to find results for our theory, basically. In the first one, we used a 2x2 design. We showed people actual Samsung QLED TV advertisements taken from YouTube. The inspiring one was a regular TV commercial that you see very good quality of HD definition of these natural beauty to show, which was all listing, versus the control one was just like a basic ad in which it gives information about the TV, basically. And then we ask individuals about their product attitudes for one of the two versions of the ad that you can see on the screen. So these ads looked very similar to each other, and the only difference between was that one was labeled as limited edition versus the other one didn't have this label. And the reason why we do it is that we try to make them as similar as each other. So whatever effect that we found is only attributed to the change in limited edition and nothing else. When we look at the results, we see that for the limited edition product, people who watched the all inspiring commercial had significantly lower attitudes, which demonstrates the negative impact of all on the preferences for limited edition products. In another study, we wanted to control for the emotion having in the advertisement. So this time we used 3 emotions. We use a slideshow to make people feel things, let's say. In the all listing one, we showed skyscrapers, we showed them top of the mountains, we showed screenshots from the space. In the happy listing one, we showed happy couples, puppies, that basically smiling people all around the slideshow. And in the control one, we just basically choose dishware and to make people not feel anything or not happiness or basically. And once again, we ask about their product attitudes, this time for a watch ad. And as you can see, once again, the only difference was that it was either labeled as limited edition collection versus nothing about being limited edition was mentioned. And when we look at the results, once again, we see that for people who felt their preferences for limited edition was significantly lower relative to other emotions. We did one more study in order to understand the reasoning behind it. And in this time we used Gopro Ad Clips. I'm sure you're all aware of Gopro, which has these cool action cameras. So we take these ads from the Gopro once again from their YouTube channel. In the all listing one, there was a guy who was snowboarding through a snowy mountain. It had been very beautiful shots of the mountain, the snow, and so on. And in the happiness eliciting one, there was a baby who was skateboarding, and she was basically smiling all over the video. And we did pre-test to make sure that these differed in terms of how people felt awe versus happiness. And once again, we ask about their purchase intention. This time we create a GoPro Hero X. As you can see, they're very similar to each other. The only difference is mentioning whether it's limited edition or not. And we also ask about their, to understand the reason why, we ask about their experience of connection after watching the commercials and after evaluating the ad to understand whether experience of connection would be the mediator in this situation. When we put all of these into basically statistical analysis using a regression model, we did find support that the people who felt awe had significantly lower preferences for the limited edition GoPro product. And this relationship was mediated by the decreased level of experience of connection by those people. So until now, we demonstrated the main effect. We did 2 more studies to identify some boundary effects. And the first one was about need for uniqueness. Basically, everyone has a need to be unique and different from other, but it's an individual difference. So all of us differ on a scale how much need we have to be unique from others. So in this one, we want to understand how having this difference would impact our choices. So we ask people some need for uniqueness questions, and then we ask them to write about a time that they felt awe or enthusiasm and indicate their purchase intention. When we look at the results, the graph may be a bit harder to understand, but basically what it suggests is that when the product is limited edition, people who actually have a higher need for uniqueness are more impacted by the negative impact of all, which is a bit ironic because if you think about it, the companies usually aim people who have a higher need for uniqueness using their limited edition products. But what we demonstrate here is that the more that you're likely to buy a limited edition product, the more need for uniqueness you have, you're actually more impacted by the negative impact of all, which is very important for companies to keep in mind in who they're targeting. And finally, so far we only demonstrate the negative impact of all. So what should managers do if they want to reverse the effect? So in this last study, we wanted to understand how managers can actually use all while promoting limited edition product and actually have a positive impact. And we suggested that using a cause-related marketing would be the solution to this, because cause-related marketing is about buying a product, but at the same time helping others. If you think about how all makes us feel connected to others, other people in general, it's considered to be a self-transcendent emotion that makes us less focused on ourselves and more on others. We thought that we could actually reverse this effect. So we showed them the slideshow from the previous studies, and we asked about their purchase intention. It was again a similar product from the Guinness beer. This time, both of the ads were for a limited edition, but as you can see in one of them, it had a code-related marketing promotion, which suggests that at the bottom, maybe you can read it says that 2% of this purchase or the income would be donated to for people who are in need. Basically, it's a CRM campaign that has a limited edition versus the other one didn't mention this at all. When we look at the result, when the CRM promotion was not there, it replicated the previous results using actually hurt the limited edition product preference. But when we include a CRM to the picture, the results actually reverse, such that when people felt and they were evaluating the CRM present ad, they actually had higher preferences, which suggests marketers that they can actually use cause-related marketing promotion if they want to have a positive impact and make all work basically in their ads. And finally, we did a kind of like a real demonstration. We asked people to be part of a brand ambassador program without them realizing that it was actually a survey. And we showed them either an open edition or a limited edition version of the same print. And when we look at the results, people who felt were much less likely to be brand ambassador for the limited edition print relative to the open edition print. What all of these means is that in this very short 15 minutes, does emotional advertising work or fail? It basically, the answer is depends. It's an answer that we give to anything basically whenever there's research, but it is actually the case. In this project, we show that the emotional advertising may fail if it's used with limited edition products and featuring the feeling of all, but it depends on the product. It depends on the consumer characteristics. It seemed to be working less for consumers who have a high need for uniqueness, which is once again ironic. And finally, it depends on the promotion characteristics. If the CRM is present, may actually reverse the result versus relative to CRM being absent. That's all I want to say. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, or I'll stick here after the presentation. We can have a more chat, but thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Maciej, would you like to engage with Aisu and the audience?
Thank you so much, Aisu, and I'm sorry I can't be in the room, but unlike CEU Executive MBA, which has been running its modules throughout the pandemic and had a perfect safety record, 0 infections. The school of my son here in Vienna is doing a little worse, and I am now locked because of Corona scare in my son's school. But it was a highlight of the evening to listen to this amazing presentation, because I think it really is touching on things that are much broader than just you know, a narrow question of limited edition products. I think there is something fundamental changing in the consumer behavior, and I want to ask you. I'll tell you what I have in mind, and then please feel free as an expert to tell me that I am wrong. But like my sense is that we are seeing, you know, a situation in which this kind of this status-based marketing is becoming less and less effective, especially with younger generations, young millennials, and the new coming Gen Z. I think people want purpose much more than prestige, frankly speaking. And I think what you are showing with this extremely rigorous, carefully, meticulously designed study is a sign of this broader trend that people, you know, may want to still, you know, enjoy some exclusivity, but if it's an exclusivity of a cause, if it's an exclusivity of purpose, not exclusivity of status. I wonder whether you see your results of this study the similar way or not.
Excellent point, Maciej. Thank you. I actually hear about that comment before from other people as well. So I think that's definitely something that I need to address on. And I have 2 points related to that. The first one is one thing that after we did all this research, the studies, we realized after we get the comment similar to yours, we realized that the products that we have are mainly more status products, you know, like a watch or like GoPro, more like status eliciting or like status demonstrating products. So in that sense, our results may work because these are status promoting products, which are mentioned as limited edition. So actually in the upcoming work, we plan to use non-status products such as like a simple pen, maybe anything can be status, basically the way that you advertise it, but like very simple, like a microwave, what we call as like more utilitarian products, to try to have them, make them as limited edition and see whether it would work or not. Because although the generation is changing, there are still some products that we buy because of their symbolic value. And majority of the time, these more luxurious, more show-off products are these kinds. So maybe I'm actually not sure how the results would look if we were to use non-status. So in that sense, you're definitely right. The reason that the results, why they're working, may be related to because them being about status consumption. And related to your point on how the generation is changing from like status by the product, but status by the purpose. That's an excellent point. And actually, this is the reason why we're focusing on feeling of awe, because as I mentioned, it's a self-transcendent emotion. So people want to feel proud. Definitely, they want to feel confident. But at the same time, the new generation more want to think about others. How do I help the planet? How do I help other people in general? So in that sense, awe is a perfect emotion to understand how it changes human behavior. And in this project specifically, we see that it changes our focus to other people. So I think as part of like another boundary study that I plan to have for this project, because once again, it was also told by other like reviewers or like commenters as well, to look at how promoting a purpose using this limited edition product and saying that you can be part of this group if you were to join this, buy this limited edition product with this purpose. When we think of it from that perspective, I do think it will actually have a more meaningful and more positive impact than hurting the brand.
And thank you so much. And I must say that, you know, the speed with which the atmosphere around business and consumer relations changes is breathtaking. When we were starting this Vienna incarnation of our MBA program, when CEU moved to Vienna, some people were still skeptical, saying that, you know, all this purpose and kind of more cost related, as you call it, not only marketing but strategies, is kind of mostly some sort of a PR stance for the website. And here we are after a few years, and the pressure for business to step up to the field and to actually take responsibility is mounting. And if the trend continues, because remember, like when you join an MBA, you are not supposed to learn tools for today, because the degree is supposed to serve you for decades. Yes, so it's nice if you can use it on Monday, but even more important is, can it really put you on the right path 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? And the key to have that kind of curriculum and that kind of training is to really our ability as scholars to predict where the world is going. Yes, and what you are showing is where my sense is where the marketing is going. Yes, and it will be very interesting to see how those things change, for example, in experiments after the pandemic. Well, to the extent there will be after the pandemic. Yes, in this new normal where people are even less connected, more isolated. Yes, and they may have a stronger need for connection and for awe.
Yeah, excellent point. Actually, I have a working project which is about feeling connected to others during pandemic. So you just basically think about it as well. But yeah, things are changing, and self-transcendent emotions are in general are becoming more and more prominent, because as I mentioned, we're not rational, and at this age we see we feel all the emotions from everywhere around us. So it's becoming more and more important. That's why I really like to focus on this topic, talk about it, and get feedback. So thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
Okay, I would like to ask you something about a sensitive products, about books.
Books.
Cover and title. I'm an author. Every time I publish a book, I force a problem to choose a cover and title. Someone tells me I should not found a direct title or cover, and some other say no, should the cover and the title follow the theme in the book. And I'm not sure now how the emotion marketing could be. It can shock the reader when he open the book or buy the book, and I like the title or cover, and then suddenly found that the topic in the book is not how he thought. I don't know which method should be better to choose a good cover and good title, direct or.
That's an excellent question. We would focus on it a lot deeper in our marketing and consumer behavior if you were to join our executive MBA, for sure. But basically, so from like an academic perspective or analysis perspective, you have a new product that people know that it's book, but they don't know about the content. So you're trying to promote a new product to a group of people who have no idea about it. So initially, as a first step, what we do is that we try to understand who our audience is and try to think of it in terms of their eyes and see what they would like. For example, in very short answer, it would depend on the content of your book and who you're aiming to reach using this book. If it's like a teen audience, if it's, I don't know, if it's a more like a it may depend on their age, it may depend on their gender, it may depend on their psychographics, how they behave, why they read books, and so on and so forth. So based on that, you usually create a persona that a typical consumer of your book, a typical person who would go and buy your book. And then you start to think from their perspective, okay, if you put yourself in their shoes, what would make you feel more like you want to buy that book? So I mean, I'm thinking from my own perspective, not knowing anything about the content. I do think the titles help, but at the same time, I also feel as a consumer, I read the title, I look at the last page, and then based on that, I'm trying to understand what the book is about. But that's all about my perception. While as the author, you may have a lot different perspective. But at the same time, not promoting at all, because in the end the title is there, or the back of the page is there to promote the product, right? If you do not promote it at all and think that people will buy it just because they don't know anything about your book, it may be harder for them to communicate to. So I think in general it may be better to have a title and like a cover based on that, but I think it's the best in the situation to think of your consumer who is going to buy your book and think from their perspective to say, okay, what they would like, what they wouldn't like, which is very much basically like a market research tool that companies and brands do before they launch any product. So a short answer, but I'm happy to talk more about it.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other?
Thank you, Aisa. I think
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think we should move on to the Q&A session because I collected some questions online. Maciej, are you willing to answer the questions from the online audience with me and from the audience here?
Of course, very happy to.
Perfect. So the first question is for you. What about the elephant in the room? What are the COVID measures, and do we have a hybrid online on-site modular format?
Yeah, you can always join online. If you can't travel, if you don't want to travel, you can always join online. All our modules are hybrid. And if you join on-site, we do actually a lot, and we've been kind of pioneers in Vienna doing regular testing. Jan knows that we will test it every other day, everybody at our expense. We split classes so that there is more social distancing for some courses, and so we do a lot of kind of little and big things that are important for everybody's safety. And you know, they are, let's be clear, they are costly for us, but this is what you already mentioned excellently in your presentation, which is that this is really you know, a kind of uniquely privileged position in which we are, that we have these financial resources which we can deploy if we need, like in a situation like that. So we were not you know, we are not a for-profit institution. We are you know, we are a beneficiary of enormous, actually the largest charitable donation to a single educational institution in history. And this we use these resources for our students, for fellowships that you mentioned. Probably you'll talk about them as well, but also for dealing with emergencies like we are facing now.
Thank you very much. I'm taking the next question, which was about career development. Is there any kind of career development offered by CEU? There's a strong yes. I would say there is basically two tracks of career development available at CEU: structured and, let's call it, informal career development. Let's start with the informal career development. I would say that the networking within your class, which is not structured, is informal career development, because you can make use of that network within your profession. Of course, we also offer structured career development by our Alumni Relations Office, who are willing to connect you to certain people, to certain industries, or certain professions, or certain regions, but also our Career Development Office, who are willing and happy to help you revising your CVs, with placements, looking for staff, placing you in companies, etc. Whatever your endeavor is, they're happy to help you developing your career. And also we offer career development in the Executive MBA. Maciej, I would like to address the next question to you, which is about exams and if there is a thesis.
Mm-hmm. Exams. So exams do not happen during your modules. This is very important. Module is a precious time where everybody comes from around the world, and we use this time not to put you in class and write papers or exams, but to debate, to work in teams, to have plenary discussions. Exams happen after modules. If there are, it's a minority of classes that have exams, but those who do, they happen after the module. You have 10 days where you can basically write an exam at any point you want. There's only one condition: once you start, you need to finish. So you know that, let's say, an exam takes 2 hours, and you need to block those 2 hours, because when you start, it's online. It's for an online course management system. When you click start, you need to finish it in one go. So that's example. But again, most courses have team projects and not really exams. On the thesis, well, our approach to the thesis is the so-called Capstone Project. And the Capstone Project is about a very simple proposition. You've learned a lot of tools in your CEU Executive MBA. We now want you to apply it to the real world. It's all about impact. Capstone is kind of a supervised activity in which you design, with our help, you design an impact, how you take the knowledge from the program and transform it into the real world change. You have between 3 and 12 months to do this. We help you individually on the way. Most people actually split kind of the impact into what we call the strategic analysis component. So that's an impact through good ideas coming from analytical tools that you practice in the program. That can be, for example, a consulting paper that you write for your company or for your employer or for another company, or, for example, within the context of our innovations labs at CEU, the incubator. And there is also the so-called leadership component. When we actually want you to do something, is mentor somebody, lead a change management project. So these two together, sometimes you can find a project which will, to use a very brutal English saying, which I don't like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which is you both analyze and you do things. But if you can't find a convenient project that does both things at once, then you need to do 2 projects, one more analytical and one more leadership oriented. So that's the CEU Executive MBA thesis, the Capstone Project.
Thank you very much, Maciej. I would like to take the next question, if you allow, because it's about the application process and the application requirements. Let's start with the application requirements. We are looking for experienced people with at least 8 years of work experience. And of those 8 years, 3 years should be in a managerial or any kind of leadership role. We require the proof of English, so a certain level of English is required. As far as documents are required, we are looking forward to your CV and your motivation letter, and 2 references, could be academic or professional references. And the application starts online through our website. And let's move on to the application process. Once you applied on our website, once you submitted and finalized your application, we will revise your application and check them for completeness. You have the chance to hand in documents later. And once your application documents are complete, you will be, and of course you meet the criteria, assuming that you meet the criteria, you will be invited to an interview, to an online interview with a faculty member. And based on a fixed questionnaire, you will be assessed in the interview, and in a timely manner, you will receive an admission decision. Maciej, speaking of the video of the interview, the application interview, do you want to talk about our transparent catalog of questions that we have developed?
Oh,
for
yes.
the interview?
Thomas wants me to kind of sneak in the promotion of our new website, which will be amazing. It's starting in 2 weeks. And one thing that it will include, indeed, is most business schools kind of put an air of secrecy, this kind of exclusivity that ISO was talking about around their admission process. We think that sun is the best disinfectant, yes, and thereby transparency is better than exclusivity. Transparent doesn't mean the process is not competitive. It is, but it simply means that we do not think there is a need to create a sense that there is some magic in the selection process. It's a process based on arguments, on meritocracy in the spirit of the open society. And we made a pretty radical decision. I don't know of any other business school that does what we will do in about 10 days, which is we are going to disclose on our website in an open source format all the 49 criteria based on which your application package will be reviewed actually by the admission committee. Not only that, on the website, you will have a tool where you can basically self-assess yourself on each of the 49 categories and get a pretty reliable prediction on whether you will be admitted or not. So that's, I think, kind of walking the talk of what you were talking about, Thomas, earlier, which is the world based on meritocracy, the world based on facts, not narratives, including, very nice narratives in people's application files. We want to be fact-based. We think that there are certain ways in which people can kind of benefit mostly from this program. There are certain preconditions to really benefit from this program and also contribute to other people's learning experience. And we don't feel we need to hide this. We don't feel we need to create an air of secrecy. So that's what's coming very soon. And if you want to get an update, you surely can leave a message to Thomas, and he will let you know when the new website is live. But it's very, very soon, in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. In view of the time, I would like to proceed to the final question, because with the audience here on site, I'm happy to discuss questions over snacks and drinks after the event. But I want to address the last question because I think it's a very important one for the most applicants, is the question for financial support. Is there financial support? And it's a clear yes answer. We offer a variety of financial support. We offer basically 3 streams of financial support. The Open World Scholarship, which aims at people who are working in a field or very much aligned with our mission, like in the humanitarian field, human rights activism, promoting open society, can be corporate as well. We have a need-based scholarship, which only takes into consideration your income situation and the country of your residence. And we have country-specific merit-based fellowships. We have a variety of them, so I will just highlight a few of them. For example, we have an international LGBTIQ fellowship. We have fellowships for business women from in Turkey, in Central Asia, and Russia. We have a fellowship for managers with a disability. We have a fellowship for Romani managers. We have a diversity fellowship in France and a diversity fellowship for BAE managers in the UK, etc., etc. I'd be happy to consult with you in individual consultations with me. I already posted the link in the chat box on Zoom, and everybody's invited to book a one-on-one consultation with me through the website. I would like to take the opportunity and thank you, Aisu, for delivering a keynote presentation. Maciej, thank you for joining us from home. I hope everything's fine with your son and your family. Jan and Lauren, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and would like to express my gratitude to all the guests online and on site. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.